In this video, we're going to explore the channel rack much more in depth. We're going to talk about all the different features involved in the channel rack. Starting from the left-hand side, you can see the ability to mute and unmute channels. So let's play these. And if you left-click on any of these lights here, you can mute that section. If you hold down Control and then you left-click, it allows you to focus on just one specific sound. Following that, we have the ability to pan. That's what this little knob does here. Following that, we have the volume. This is the mixer. It tells you which channel that you're going to put to the mixer, and we'll deal with that in another video. Then we have the samples or the instruments. You can click on the sound and it will bring up more options. In this case, since it's a sample, you can see the waveform right here. And there's a bunch of options that we'll probably explore later on. Following that, we have the step sequencer, where you can left click to add notes and you can right click to remove notes. Over here, we have the ability to view either the step sequencer or just the piano notes, because essentially when you're adding to a step sequencer, you're adding notes which can be viewed in the piano roll. And you can actually see that by clicking on this button here. You can see this in the piano roll view. This here is the swing. What it does is it adds a slight delay between the start time of the playing of the note. But what if you wanted to only have the swing affecting one of these sounds instead of everything in this pattern, which this does? Well, what you would have to do is you would have to go to your sound or your instrument, and by clicking on this button with the wrench, you can see there's an option to handle the swing just for this particular sound. This button here is the pause button. Over here, you have some more options where you can, it's just a menu with a bunch of features. Here's how this plus button down here allows you to add different instruments or different sounds. This is the ability to create groups. So let's say I wanted to group the clap and the hat together. Well, how would I do that? Well, first of all, I would need to select several different sounds, and I can do that by left clicking and then holding Shift and then clicking another sound. And then what you can do is you can group them by either clicking on this drop down arrow and going to group selected, or you can press Alt G. I'm going to press Alt G, and let's call this hat and clap. So now you can see we only see two of these things, hat and clap, and the reason is because we've created a group called hat and clap. We can always see everything if we just clicked all. But if we want to see just these groups, now we can go to hat and clap and it'll just show us the two of these. This is more useful when you have dozens and dozens of instruments all lined up and you just need to see a few of these at a time. Next is the renaming, where what you can do is you can rename your sounds and instruments. Let's say I wanted to rename the kick, or I wanted to identify this in some way that I can pick this out. Well, you can click and go to rename color and icon, and there's a bunch of options here. Let's say I want to give it an icon. Let's give it a thumbs up icon, and we'll call this awesome kick, and I'll color this something by left clicking on red. So you can now see that this is indicated, it stands out from the way it used to. If you just want to do this by default, you can right click, rename, color and icon, and there's a drop down button here, and there's a bunch of defaults. Let's say I click here. You can see it automatically just picks one for me. Okay, let's talk about the really important items here. And that's the ability to copy and to delete. You're going to be using this a ton. One way is to right click and click clone. Clone is essentially copy in FL Studio. And you can see it's made a copy of that. The other way is to press Alt and then C. And you can see that everything is highlighted has been copied. Just by holding down Alt and then pressing the C on the keyboard, you can copy. What if I want to delete this? Well, I can either right click and delete, or the alternative is to highlight the ones I want. Once again, you can select more than one by left clicking and then holding down Shift and clicking again. And you can delete by right clicking and pressing delete, or by pressing Alt, holding that down, and then clicking delete on your keyboard. It's going to warn you that you're about to delete the clip, so make sure that you're 100% sure about this, because there's no undo when you're deleting in this sense. In general, when you want to undo something, let's say I have some notes here, you can press Control and Z. And what Control and Z does is Control Z is the undo button. But if you want to redo something, you want to keep undoing something, you have to press Control, Alt, and Z. And that's undo, whereas redo is Control Z. Okay, let's talk about shifting. Shifting, let's say you want to move these kicks down to the bottom. How do we do that? Well, first of all, you select all of these, then you hold down Alt, and you press the arrow keys down. So Alt and then down or up. What if I wanted to move a few of these notes here? Let's say I wanted to move these over here. There's a way to do that, and that's to press Control down and then left or right with your arrow keys on your keyboard. I don't use this feature too often, but the downwards I use quite often. Up and down. So that's Alt and arrow keys. Okay, the final thing that I want to mention here, I know there's been quite a bit in this video, is just the color gradient. So one way is to constantly be changing the colors of all of these items, and that can get quite tedious. A much better way is to select all of the instruments and sounds, and then click on the drop-down arrow, go to Color Selected, and then either Gradient or Random. If you click Gradient, you select the first color, that's going to be here, and then you're going to select the final color, which will be down here. And you can see that it's nicely selected a range of colors that you can see. An alternative is to go to Color Selected and then Random, and that's probably the coolest way to do it. Okay, that's it for this video. Now you're pretty much an expert with the channel rack, and we'll see you in the next video.